Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurabani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare-rama, Hare-rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare-rama, Hare-rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahangsa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shriman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribo Slava Zavrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Garangi. Aha, something new. Novi. Om Agana Timadandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakans Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. The three modes of material nature. Is that right? Number 18. Urdvam gachati satvasta madhye tishtati rajasa jaganya guna vritista adho gachati tamasa Urdhvam gacchati sattvasta. Madhye tishtati rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gacchati tamasa. Urdhva gachanti sattvasta. Madhye tishtati rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gacchati tamasa. Urdhva gachanti sattvasta. Madhye tishtati rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gachanti tamasa. Matatis, plural. Urdhva gacchati sattvasta. Gadanya tishtati rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gachanti tamasa. Don't be shy. Urdhva gachanti sattvasta. Madhye tishtanti rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gachanti tamasa. 3 ladies chant, that will be the record. There she goes. Go ahead. Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta. Madhye tishtanti rajasa. Jaganya gunivritista. Adho gachanti. We set a record during the marathon. Urdhvam, upwards. Gachanti, go. Sattvasta, those situated in the mode of goodness. Madhye, in the middle. Tishtanti, dwell. Rajasa, those situated in the mode of passion. Jaganya, of abominable. Guna, quality. Vrittista, whose occupation. Adaha, down. Gachanti, go. Tamasa, persons in the mode of ignorance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Purport, in this verse, the results of actions in the 3 modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. There is an upper planetary system consisting of the heavenly planets, where everyone is highly elevated. According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in this system. The highest planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the prime person of this universe, Lord Brahma, resides. We have seen already that we can hardly calculate the wondrous condition of life in Brahmaloka, but the highest condition of life, the mode of goodness, can bring us to this. The mode of passion is mixed. It is the middle, between the mode of goodness and ignorance. Person is not always pure, but even if he should be purely in the mode of passion, he will simply remain on this earth as a king or rich man. But because there are mixtures, one can also go down. People on this earth, in the mode of passion or ignorance, cannot forcefully approach the higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next lifetime. The lowest quality, the mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable. The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality in the material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species of life: birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. And according to the development of the mode of ignorance, people are brought down to these abominable conditions. The word tamasa is also very significant here. Tamasa indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to a higher mode. Their future is very dark. There is an opportunity for men in the mode of ignorance and passion to be elevated to the mode of goodness. And that system is called Krishna consciousness. But one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue in the lower modes. Urdvam gacchati sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guni vritista ado gacchati tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharane. So Bhagavad Gita had explained at the beginning of this chapter, Parambuya Pravakshami Jnanam Jnanam Uttamam Yajgyatva Muniya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata. Now I'm going to explain to you knowledge which is better than I've explained before. Knowing this knowledge, many sages have obtained the supreme destination. So the knowledge is about these 3 modes. Now, the living entity ourselves, because we're the living entity, we have a choice where we want to go next. Just like you had a choice. You didn't have to come to the class, but then they wouldn't give you prasadam afterwards. Maybe they would still give you prasadam. Anyhow, by choice, we're here. We could be out anywhere. We could go to the neighborhood bar, no one would stop us. On the way out of here, no one would tackle us, say you can't go. But we choose voluntarily not to go because we have some knowledge that if you go there, it's in the mode of ignorance. And the mode of ignorance goes according to this philosophy. The result of the mode of ignorance is abominable. We risk becoming involved in the lower species of life in the future. Of course, if we tell people that, they'll laugh at us. They think it's ridiculous. I remember when I was 5 years old, when I used to watch television, it was like 3 programs a day on or something. It wasn't exactly advanced technology back then. A little after the dinosaurs were roaming the planet. In any case, there was you had one program a day you could watch, or there was one channel that worked. There were actually 3 channels, but one of them never worked. Kind of like India now. I think India is more advanced. So there was one program called Laurel and Hardy. You heard Laurel and Hardy? So in one of the episodes, which I remember, Laurel and Hardy came back, incarnated, I think as some animal or something. The whole thing was supposed to be a joke. I guess they had, it it was a joke reincarnation. Of course, I think by now they've already reincarnated. Maybe not necessarily in the human form of life, though. So this idea that you can come back as a dog. Prabhupada was one time giving a lecture at a university, and one student raised her hand and said, Swamiji, you say that if I act like a dog, I'm going to become a dog. But I just want you to know, I don't mind if I become a dog. I want to become a dog. So Prabhupada raised his hand and said, you have my blessings. I'm sure she's barking by now. So people think it's a joke that I could become a dog. And what to speak of a dog? I mean, nowadays, according to one deprogrammer, I treat my dog better than you treat you children. Ted Patrick. Quote. So dogs are treated generally quite well, at least in some parts of the Western world. India, they're not treated so well, especially in Vrindavan. Of course, in the bigger cities where people are more sophisticated, then they're kissing their dogs too. Ooh, Fifi, I love you. Every gentleman, Prabhupada said, has to have a dog. But a dog was relatively advanced in the species of life. What happens if he became a grasshopper? Especially, it's dangerous to be a grasshopper now, because people are eating the grasshoppers. you jump by someone, and you go, whoop. Especially those who are into raw food. So it's quite a dangerous situation, especially in Kali Yuga, because in the other ages there was some training. People would actually believe that according to what I'm doing, I'm going to get a result. That I'm actually going to get my next lifetime according to how I live this lifetime. And what is the education like that? How many people are actually afraid of entering into the lowest species of life? How many people even know that how the law of karma actually works? People talk about karma nowadays, but they don't really believe that you could actually go down or even up. They think demigods are it's just a myth. That we've gone to the moon, we collected rocks, and we brought them back. Actually, they analyzed the rocks, which were in one university, I think in Stockholm, that were donated. They found out they were just ordinary rocks. They spent $55 billion to bring back ordinary rocks. I could have given the rock for half that price. So they don't believe, they think they've gone to the moon and it was all deserted. And all the time, nowadays, you're hearing about creatures from other planets coming and visiting, extraterrestrial, whatever it is, EFTs or something, extraterrestrial something. And they're always little green men. They're always little guys with, little green guys. They look weird. They step out a little flying saucer or something. They're never beautiful demigods. They're always kind of mutants or something. And they always have they're always flying around in a saucer. They use it to drink tea when they're flying. And they always have a death ray, shoots out, zaps the human beings. Poof. But so it's always depicted that, the other planets are always depicted as just vast deserts or cold rocks or kind of weird people running around in it. But they're actually planets much more advanced than ours. Why should this be the most advanced planet in the whole universe? I mean, people are just so proud, falsely proud of our so-called civilization. Where the history of Europe is a history of one war after another. That's how they judge history. You go to the Parliament of Slovenia in Ljubljana, and they have the mural of the history of Slovenia. And it's one war after another where Slovenia always loses. And they're proud of it. We're small but beautiful. And they think that's the pinnacle of history. Being oppressed and then fighting off the oppressors, getting some small victory for a few years and then losing again. And they have no conception of actually what reality is. Because they're killing animals, especially the cow and the bull and their children, and doing sinful activities, they're creating a hellish situation, not only for the next lifetime, but in this lifetime also. And they have no idea that if you cultivate Krishna consciousness, which is the only process that can actually elevate anyone this age, by doing that, they can actually create a heavenly situation, even on this planet. If people would be nice to each other, if they would be nice to the animals and all living entities, if they were respectful towards Krishna's creation, if they saw that this didn't belong to them to exploit whimsically, just like when people enter into the mode of ignorance, then they just become completely whimsical. They become completely careless what they're doing. And the more ignorant they are, the more they become reckless. Because they have no idea that they're actually mad. When someone is crazy, they don't think they're crazy. They think everyone else is crazy. It's like if someone is deaf, they think everyone else is deaf. On the other hand, if one actually has some vision, then at least, even if no one else has that vision, no one else knows what's going on, no one else is interested, but it's such a great advantage to have that knowledge for oneself. Because then one can actually elevate oneself back to the spiritual world. I heard another tape of Prabhupada where someone's Indian gentleman. Many times people challenge Prabhupada, what are you doing for the world, to help the world? And Prabhupada said, well, you came here. So at least you came to hear. So that's our victory. You came. Hear about Krishna. That's what I'm doing for the world. We're saving you. Or as Prabhupada was talking to one sociologist in Australia, and the sociologist, Prabhupada was trying to convince the sociologist to help our movement. He was not a sociologist, he was actually a representative of the government of Australia at that time, a minister in sociology, helping the society. So Prabhupada told him, he said that you should help this movement. So the man said, well, we're a sectarian, we can't do that because, we're only supposed to help the people. Prabhupada said, we're also the people. You should help us. If your duty is to help the people, you should help us. So people they're so foolish. They think that knowledge of the soul, knowledge of karma, knowledge of the Supreme Person, that's religious. But we have a whole other set of values and understanding, all based upon speculation and imagination. And we're supposed to follow that. And our philosophy is that they have a religion also. The religion is sense gratification. We're not supposed to, people are by definition material bodies, and that's all they are. and some people have a mind if they haven't blown it by taking so many drugs. Anyhow, those people who have minds left and bodies, we're supposed to take care of whatever, claim we're going to take care of whatever they need. But the fact is, that's just an assumption, that man is nothing but a body. There's no proof that anyone is just a body, because as Prabhupada used to say, when the soul leaves the body, and there's only left is the body, well, the body's still there, but why isn't it moving? What is the missing ingredient? What is the chemical that it's lacking? So you add that chemical, and the body comes back alive. If man is nothing but a chemical, there must be some chemical that makes it alive. And when it leaves the body, then it's not alive anymore. So what is that chemical? Now, they don't know what the chemical is. They've never brought a living body back to life, a dead body back to life. There's only one example. Do you know who that is? What's that? Yes, Frankenstein. You're from Romania, so you know that. There are other examples, but those are more mystical, like when Narada Muni had Chitraketu, his son died, and Harsha Marsha, happiness and distress, and Narada Muni brought him back. And he asked the son, why did you leave? Your father and mother are very distressed that you've left your body. They love you so much. He said, actually, in my last lifetime, I was his enemy, this Chitraketu, this rascal, I was his enemy. And I fought against him on a battle, and I got killed by him. So I decided to come back. I wanted to come back as his son and die so I could get revenge on him. My little baby. Oh, my little baby. Oh, you're a monster. You want to kill. So that's one example. There are other examples, but anyhow, because the soul and the body are different. So the soul could come back into the body if by some mystical arrangement. Like Sukracharya, he has the ability, Mritya Jivana. He has the ability to bring dead people back to life, as he did with the demons who fought on the shore of the ocean of milk. Many of them died, and Sukracharya had a pond made out of nectar, and he put the dead bodies, including Bali Maharaj, into that pond of nectar, and they came back to life again. So then Krishna arranged it so that Krishna in the form of a cow, I think Brahma, they came to the pond and they started to drink the nectar. So Sukracharya couldn't stop them from doing that. First of all, because he's God, even though he's a cow. Secondly, is he couldn't stop a cow from doing it. He has some basic principles of morality. So Krishna, in the form of a cow, drank up all the nectar, and then the demigods, the demons, couldn't revive their dead soldiers anymore. It's very difficult to fight a war when every time you kill the enemy, they come back to life. It's kind of unfair. In any case, the modern scientists can't bring a dead body back to life. So how they can conclude that a body is made out of matter? It's not science. It's a fanatic religion, so-called modern science, saying that everything came out. The living entities came out of dead matter. They've never been able to demonstrate that in any way. Let them take a dead body and inject some matter into it and let it come back to life again. Then we can understand that it's science. Otherwise, it's just blind faith. It's a fanatical religion. So, the point is that we can demonstrate that people's bodies are changing, but they're not changing, and that we can see that there are so many species of life who appear just like we are. Now, we may not have enough realization to conclusively conclude that these living entities are souls just like we are, but they seem to act very similar to us. Just like if we had a dog, which I'm not suggesting anything, but if we had a dog, then you can see that people treat their dog like one of their children. As a matter of fact, sometimes the dogs are much more intelligent than the children are. They also want affection, they also want to eat, they want to sleep, they want to mate, they want to defend. When they're disturbed, sometimes they even cry. So what's the difference between a dog and a human being? What's the big difference? They're less intelligent, surely, but then again, the children are also less intelligent. Like we have this little child here who comes all the time, and everyone likes to play with him because he's easy to play with. Because he's less intelligent. Therefore, you can do practically anything with him. He doesn't know what you're doing. You can play with him. He likes to play because there's nothing else to do. He doesn't say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got to go. I got an appointment." No, he's completely dependent on whoever he comes in contact with. So similarly, the dog is just like that. So what actually is the difference between the lower species of life and the human being? If the human being has no higher consciousness. And if the human being has no higher consciousness, why would he not in his next lifetime become in that form of life, if he has a similar consciousness? Otherwise, how did that soul take on the body of a dog? By accident? But nothing in this world is actually going on by accident. It's all very nicely planned. The fact is that they just don't recognize that there's a God and an intelligent person behind everything, and that he's already laid out how the laws of material nature work. Very simply, if we associate with a certain mode, then we develop that particular consciousness of that mode. And that consciousness at the time of leaving the body will take us onto that body. Like if you go shopping, you're looking for a certain suit, a certain dress, and if you have enough money, you can buy it. If you don't have very much money, you got to settle for something very cheap from China or something. And if you have some more money, you can get something a little bit nicer. And if you're really good, you can get a sari or a dhoti or something. Depending upon what you're looking for and how much you want to pay for it. So similarly, at the time of leaving this body, we get what we pay for, and we're paying for it now. We're accumulating credit, either good karma or bad karma. At the time of leaving this body, we get the appropriate, we buy the next dress according to the credit we have, either good or bad. And if we put all our credit in Krishna's consciousness, then we can even go back to the spiritual world, or at least join Krishna on some planet where he's having his pastimes. It's all up to us. Therefore, we're very fortunate because we have these books, we can open them up at any time. Especially nowadays, we're even encouraged to do it. When I first joined the movement, I was living in a temple in Buffalo, and my roommate, who was also, when I went to college, I had a roommate. He wasn't a college student, but I had a roommate. And he joined the movement with me. But he didn't like to read very much. So every time I was going to college as a devotee, when I was a devotee living in the temple, but every time I'd open the book, Prabhupada's book, we only had a little blue Bhagavad Gita back there. If he caught me reading the book, he'd start chastising me. Why are you wasting your time reading these books? So that inspired me to read them more. Opposition always inspired me. In any case, we have the opportunity, we can open this book, we can even read it. No one's going to stop us. Has anyone ever been chastised here for reading a book? Anyhow, we can't read it at 12 o'clock at night. Whatever. Anyhow, usually in most normal situations, we're allowed to at least hear about Krishna. We're allowed to engage our minds in Krishna service. We're even encouraged to do it sometimes. So how fortunate we are. And then we're even allowed to do some devotional service to apply it. So we know about this. So we're not so much in anxiety. Most of us are not thinking, oh, if I leave my body, I'm going to become into the lower species of life. But whether or not we're serious enough to go back to the spiritual world is a different thing. That we have to develop, that seriousness. Otherwise, we're thinking, oh, I'm all right. I have good karma. So I'm sure I'm going to get a nice place in Indraloka at least. And if I develop Krishna consciousness a little bit more, who knows? Maharloka, Brahmaloka, who knows where I'm going to? But it's all, for us, we know we're going upwards, which is a great relief. For most people, they have no idea where they're going. And even the highest people, the so-called esoteric people, they think when I leave my body, I enter into the light. I go through a tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel, the absolute truth is there, the light. And everyone's happy in the light. How boring. I was listening to a tape, an interview with Burjanbru about the remembrance of Prabhupada. And someone asked Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, who was an Indian gentleman, asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, oh no, it was a devotee, Mataji, who asked Prabhupada, that at the end of this, if you merge into Brahman, why do people fall down? And Prabhupada thought for a long time. It was 1968, because there were no books, practically speaking, and we didn't really familiar with the philosophy, so Prabhupada had to figure out how to explain it. Why would someone who merged into Brahman want to come back to the world, to this material world again? So Prabhupada thought about it for some time, then he said, because they're lonely. So you can imagine merging into the light, sitting there for millions and billions of years. They think, I wonder what's going on back home. I missed the football game. This light is cool, but there's only so much light you can take. And then you wind up back here. So that's our highest conception. Let's merge into some light or something. Other than that, it's like, you just disappear. Could you imagine working your whole life trying to be good, and at the end you disappear? And some rascal who's causing harm to everyone, he works his whole life doing harm to others, and at the end he disappears along with you. What's the impetus to try and do anything? But the fact is that we haven't disappeared yet, in spite of the fact that every body we ever had disappeared. So how can we disappear at the last change of this body, since we haven't disappeared during any of the other changes? So the fact is we're not going to disappear. The real question is where we're going next, that's all. Where do we want to go? So that's our choice. At least we can make an effort. If we hear about the glories of, say, Tenerife around here, Hawaii and America, a nice warm place where there's nice prasadam, and everyone's friendly because it's a tourist place. Then people are attracted, they want to go there. So Prabhupada is trying to attract us to go to the spiritual world and not stop a non-stop flight to the spiritual world and not have a delay in Indraloka or some other planet where we might get too much accustomed to staying there and wind up back here right at the end of Kali Yuga. Brief stay in Indraloka, and at the end we're back here in Ljubljana at the end of Kali Yuga. So let us become serious about Krishna consciousness and make a good attempt, at least, to make a little progress in this life, so that will add up. And eventually, before the end of the Golden Age, we'll join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Leela in some transcendental other universe. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Gurudev, I saw this one video speaking of, they say that people from other planets are visiting Earth. So I posted this video on YouTube. I think I saw several videos like that. And they had shown some, I don't know if it was true or edited, I don't know. It was like some spaceship.
UFO, unidentified flying object. Yeah, sure. They always look like they're a cigar or something, or a saucer.
Sorry, what?
Cigar, they always look like they're always shaped in a weird way.
So, so these UFO, so there is something like this or not? Like, because we cannot from Earth, we don't have that much, maybe power to go to another planet unless someone is doing a mystic yoga or something. They can transfer the soul to another planets. But what about the higher planetary systems?
Well, I dealt with these. First of all, I don't really know. I've never met any. I mean, I've seen UFOs. Actually, in Belgium one time we saw something flying over there in the distance, a UFO. But anyhow, I'm sure they're not coming from the heavenly planets. According to the Nectar Devotion, the demigods don't come here anymore because there's no sacrifice. So there are other lower planetary systems they may come from, or even places on Bhumandala they may come from. So they're there, but they're not necessarily the examples of the higher residents of this universe. Because why would anyone come here? What are they going to get? What is the advantage? Come here and take some photos for the people back home. Waste of a trip. If you're going to fly somewhere, you want to fly if you're going to go for a vacation, go someplace which is nice. Why come here?
I saw they showed, like, let's say aliens who came, and they had a picture of one of them. They were not very...
Yeah, they're always little green guys.
Yeah, so...
kind of like big grasshoppers or something.
Yes, of course, they did not look like someone from heavenly planets.
No,
ugly,
no.
So.
And they're always, they're always less intelligent. They have nothing good to tell us. They don't come here and preach Krishna conscious philosophy, that's for sure. I remember one time there was this program called The Twilight Zone. You've heard The Twilight Zone? What's that? Yeah. So The Twilight Zone was a very simple program. And they always had weird topics. But one topic, the aliens came down to the Earth planet. And they were passing out books, how to serve man. So they were inviting people to come back to their planet. So everyone thought, well, how to serve man, that sounds great. We always wanted to be served. So everyone was anxious to go to their planet. So one man, he wanted to get the book translated fully. So they translated the book, and he decided he'd go to the planet because, get some service. Someone's there to serve them. So his secretary runs up to him right when he was about to board the airplane, and she yells out to him, "It's a cookbook." So he tried to get off the plane. This big alien, he's like, 3 meters high, or it's 4 meters high. He throws him into the airplane, closes it. And the last scene, he's flying. They're flying to, and the alien's coming and bringing him some food to eat. He said, "Eat, eat. We want you to get fat." So that's people's conception of the higher planets, of the aliens that are coming. It's always negative.
Well, it is said that, I think I was reading in Bhagavatam somewhere, where it is said that the demigods, when their feet are not touching to the ground.
Well, who'd ever want to touch this ground around here? Probably get glass in your foot. Yeah, the demigods are of a higher consciousness than the consciousness here. I mean, if you got a free ticket to go to where the Bowery is in New York, where people are intoxicated all the time, or Calcutta down somewhere. There's some places in Calcutta. There's some slums in India that you know of. Mumbai, yeah. So, would you make a special effort to go there? Visit it, your vacation. You got 3 weeks off from college and you can go there. Why would you want to go there? So why would they have heavenly planets? Why would they come here? Anything else? Kuala Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.